Hi, I'm Tyson with Adventure Rig, and behind me we have our Adventure Rig. This is a 30-foot travel trailer. Obviously it's a bumper pull and it has the garage in the back for all of our toys. Right now I'm going through the process of installing this Planar 44D-12 diesel air-fired heater. Now this is not physically installed right now, but I thought it would be a little bit easier without it installed on the front here to kind of show you what I'm doing to go ahead and do it. First of all, my fuel tank. All this stuff that I have comes with the kit. If there's something that didn't come with the kit, I'll mention it. With the fuel tank, you can see that I have it mounted directly to the frame of the trailer. Now, they send a couple brackets for their fuel tank, and they come gold. I painted these black just because it matches the trailer frame just a little bit better. I did have to cut and bend these. On the bottom here, I just cut these ones a little bit short, and then on the top bracket, I did end up bending that so that it would reach down to the trailer and securely hold the fuel tank in place. They send all of the hardware for it. All I did was I pre-drilled the holes on the trailer frame and then used their self-tapping screws that they've provided to mount that to the frame of the trailer itself. Now, from the fuel tank, you're going to use the fuel hose. All of your connections are made with this rubber line and then this hard plastic line. So the hard plastic line actually fits inside of the rubber line, and then the rubber would be connected to your fuel tank or your fuel pump. It also comes with all of the fittings that would crimp the hoses together so that you don't get any leaks. From the fuel tank to the fuel pump, something to keep in mind is that this fuel pump shouldn't exceed 3.5 feet of distance from the fuel tank itself. Now, also something else to keep in mind is that the fuel pump is made to be mounted horizontally. So on this application, I'm actually going to be mounting it up and under the trailer right in this location here. It's a very simple process, just like you did with the tank. You're going to drill a hole in the frame, and then with a self-tapping screw, I'm going to go right through the mount that they've provided and hang it on the trailer frame itself. Also, something to keep in mind is that this pump should be slightly lower than the fuel tank itself. Now, with this, I have a battery box that goes in the front of my trailer here, and I've taken it off for the installation, but that's going to help to block a lot of the road grime and any winter snow, rain, salt, that kind of stuff that gets kicked up into the trailer. That box is going to help to protect this. It does have a weather-tight connection on the fuel pump, but if I can keep it clean and out of the elements, I'm going to do everything that I can to do that. Then from the fuel pump itself, again, with more of this hose, I'm going to be running it actually right underneath the trailer. It's all enclosed and insulated under there, and I'll show you that by dropping the floor down, and we can see what that looks like. Now, on the other side, right over here, I have my power connection for the heater. It's very simple. All it is a negative and a positive cable. Connect that to your battery, which is going to be sitting right here, and you have full power to the heater. Also, with this on my trailer, I already had electrical going into the trailer right here. It actually provided me enough room to fit the wiring from Planar right through it and into the floor of the trailer. So let's drop that and we can see how all that looks under there. This is a little bit difficult to see, but what I've done is I've lowered all the insulation that is normally screwed up underneath my trailer frame. Now, this is where all of my wiring for the heater runs. So this smaller wire right here is for the fuel pump that is mounted above my head here. And then all of the fuel line from that pump is going to be run up underneath here. Now, the run from the front of the trailer to where my heater is located is only about 4.5 feet. So it's a pretty short run. I don't have to go very long ways, which is really nice. Now, the other cable that I have under here, I don't know if you can see it, but it's this one back here. and it's my power cable that I showed you on the exterior of the trailer. It's connected directly to the batteries. So both of these cables run underneath the floor above all of this insulation, and then they go right through the floor to where the heater is mounted inside of the trailer, as well as the fuel line. Like I said, it's going to be running right from the fuel pump underneath the floor and above all of this insulation. Now, one thing that I did keep in mind here is that I wanted the fuel pump on the exterior of the trailer just so I could see it, because there's two connections on that fuel pump, an in and an out. Once it leaves and goes out, the last connection is at the heater inside of the trailer. The reason I wanted to keep it out was if I had any leaks, I could actually see it on the exterior of the trailer if it was dripping. If it was underneath all of this insulation, my insulation would get wet, and it would probably be a long time till I noticed I had any kind of a drip. That's just personal preference. I just like to know that it's on the outside and that I can see it and check for leaks periodically. Again, everything runs up above this, and it's tucked up and screwed onto the trailer frame, which is really nice. So let's move into the trailer, and I'll show you exactly where it's mounted and the holes that are drilled for all of the gadgets there. All right, we're now inside the trailer where the heater itself is going to be installed. Now, this compartment where my feet and my legs are, this is where the heater is. It's actually right here in the corner. Now, I know that you can't see it from where the camera is, but it's pretty tight quarters here. So we're gonna have to get some different shots and explain where the heater is without me physically in it. Now, where I'm sitting, this is actually where the bed is, and I'm at the very front of the trailer. So just behind this wall is the tongue. So from where my fuel tank is to the heater location itself is only about 10 feet. Now, on the last trailer that we did, I had a little bit longer of a run from the fuel tank to the heater, and I had a really long run from the batteries to the heater. So every installation is going to be a little bit different, but this is just how I've done this one. So if you guys want to come in close, I'll show you exactly where this heater is installed and how I went about doing it. So now that we're a little bit closer in, you can see exactly where I have the heater installed in this compartment. Now, this compartment is just a storage compartment. We've never been able to fill the entire thing, so we thought that it would be a great place for the heater itself. There are a couple things that you want to take into consideration when trying to figure out where to place the body of the heater. One thing is that this is the air intake, so air is actually going to be coming in through this direction, moves through the heater, and then comes out on this side. You want about 2 inches of clearance between the end of this and if you had a wall back here. Now, also on the front, from the exit, you want about 6 inches of clearance, and that's just about what I have from the exit to the panel right here. And this panel, I'm just going to put one vent in there. Because this trailer is basically just one big room, I'm only going to do one vent, and from my past experience with these heaters, that should easily keep this entire space warm throughout the winter. Now you can see I have a lot of wiring bundled up here. If you guys watched the kit contents video of what's included with this heater, I went through and explained how many feet of wiring is included. And because I'm not going very far, you can see I kind of have a lot of wiring left over. Now, one thing I could do is I could cut the wiring and take a big chunk of it out and then splice it back together. However, I don't know if I'm going to keep this heater in here forever. If in 5 years I want to sell the trailer, this heater is going to come with me, because I already know from my last heater that I've had with them, I wish I would have taken it, and they can be used in a lot of different applications. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to bundle all of this wiring together and then zip tie it. I'm going to make it look a little bit better than it currently does, but I'm going to be building a wooden box that actually just encloses the heater inside of this space here so that we can still use this space, but the heater is closed off. Now, I'm going to pull the heater out of this spot that it's in so that you can really see what I've done. But if I pull it away, you can see that I have 2 large holes here along with a smaller hole here, and then my 4 mounting points right there. as well as another hole right here. And this is going to be where the wiring is coming through from underneath the trailer, which I explained earlier. Also, this hole right here is where my fuel hose comes up and connects to the heater itself. One thing that I did on the bottom of the heater is that I made a bracket so that the heater fits up off the floor a little bit higher. Because how these heaters come, the studs that are on the bottom of the heater, they're not very long. So they're actually not long enough to go through that floor. So I made these brackets. This is actually just out of 2-inch by 2-inch angle, and it's 1/8 inch thick. I actually just welded the two pieces of angle together. So this is one piece of angle here, and then this is one piece of angle here. I think I can get a better shot for you guys to explain that. But that keeps this heater up off of the floor. Now, through these holes, what you're going to have is this guy right here. So this is the exhaust. Now this gets extremely hot, 500 degrees Celsius at its hottest point. That's pretty dang hot. That will burn the wood right here in the floor. It will burn the insulation down there. So one thing they've done is this wrap right here is something they provided to help withstand the heat so that you don't burn anything. Now, I'm a little bit anal, a little bit nervous of a guy, so I also bought wrap from the hardware store. This is actually just header wrap for a vehicle, and I wrapped the pipe in that and then slipped this over it because I don't want any chance of the insulation underneath this trailer going up in flames and taking Callie, Hank, and myself along with it. So that's what I've done with the exhaust. That comes up right through this hole here, and then through this hole is going to be my intake right here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, when these are on the outside of the trailer, I've got my exhaust and my intake. You don't want these two right next to each other like this, because this intake is just going to be sucking in all the exhaust air. So you do want them to be spread apart a little bit when you install those. Now, I'm going to pull the camera back because I have one last wire right here. You can see how these go into the heater just through the side here. But I've got one last wire that I haven't talked about, and it's my thermostat. So we'll pull back and I'll show you how I've installed the thermostat. All right, hopefully you guys aren't getting dizzy yet with all these different camera angles. It's a little bit cramped in here. So to my left is the front of the trailer. That's right here. I'm still sitting right on the bed. At my feet is exactly where this heater is installed in that box. And then right behind me on this wall, this is the driver's side of the trailer. So I installed the thermostat right here. Now on the other side of this wall, I have a bunch of electronics and stuff, but I chose not to install the thermostat there because a lot of times when Callie and I are laying in bed right here, we like to be able to adjust the heat. And if it's on the other side, we've got to get out of bed, stand up, reach around, and adjust all that. Not anymore. It's mounted very conveniently right here. Another reason I wanted to mount it here is because I can run the wiring straight from the thermostat down this wall and out of the wall at the bottom. The entire wall is missing out of the bottom for all the other electrical that's already mounted here. So it was really easy for me to drill a hole, and then I actually took string with a weight on the end of the string and I shoved it through the hole and I let it drop all the way down the wall, and then when it came out, I tied the electrical for the heater onto that string and then just pulled it through and up and out. It was actually a really easy process. So easy as that. Thermostat's installed, wiring's run through the wall. I like this spot just because of how simple it was. So I promise this is the last time we're moving the camera. We're wrapping this video up. Hopefully you guys found this a little bit informational. The last heater that I did an install for, I didn't do this portion of the how-to until it was all installed, and it was really difficult to get all of the shots. So that's why I kind of went through without it completely installed, but I know exactly how I'm going to do it to hopefully explain it for you guys a little bit better. Now, some things to take into consideration when installing this. One thing I thought about was moving this heater into a different compartment and actually tying in the ducting from this heater into ducting that is currently installed for the propane heater on the trailer. The heater fits in that spot, but it's not quite as easy to run all the wiring to that spot, and it's a lot more cramped. So if I have to do any maintenance on the heater for any reason, it's not going to be a very easy job. So that's something to think about. With this spot right here, once I get this wood covering it, I'm just going to have a few screws that I can zip out, and I'll have full access to the heater for the future if I need to. Again, with all the wiring, it was really simple to go underneath the trailer where other wiring already was. And then with one hole drilled through the floor, I was able to feed the wiring right up through, no problem. Also, with the heater in this location, one thing to keep in mind is that from the fuel pump to the heater, you want to keep that distance less than 13 feet. That's obviously not a problem in this installation, but there's a lot of things to keep in mind when you're installing one of these to make the process as simple and easy as possible. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something from this video. If you guys want to order your own heater, go to planarheaters.com. You can find this heater along with numerous others for any application. Also, something I'd recommend doing is downloading their install instructions from the website so that you guys can figure out exactly where you can install your heater and if it'll work in your application. Be sure to check out our other videos from the other heater that we had from them that we installed in the other adventure rig. And also stay tuned for another video that we'll be doing of a complete review of this heater as we put some time on it this winter. Thanks for watching. Leave any comments below. I'm Tyson with Adventure Rig.